So I have a few questions before we get into today's video. Number one, what was the biggest risk you took in 2021? Number two, what was your biggest surprise in 2021? Number three, what was the most important thing you did for others in 2021? Number four, what was the wisest decision you made in 2021? Hello guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Dr. Peter, and a happy new year to you all. Thank you so much for supporting my YouTube journey up to this point. I'm really glad, and I promise there's going to be premium content on this channel in this space this year. I want to start off my videos for 2022 by introducing you to one of the most productive tools I have ever used in my life, and it's the year compass. Is the best year planner I've ever used, and trust me, I've used journals, I've used diaries, and this is one of the most comprehensive guides to starting your year. Now, the year compass is actually made by the year. Let me read it the way they said it. So the year compass is actually made with love by an international team in Budapest, Hungary, the year compass team, and it's actually totally free online. You can download it as a PDF, and then you can print it, and then or you can fill it digitally. But it's one of the most comprehensive guides to starting your year. I'm actually a big fan of New Year resolutions, but I think the approach you take to a New Year resolution can actually make a big difference. And this year compass will actually make you check the fundamental aspects of your life, and how you can really know what means so much to you. When you do your normal New Year routines, there are some questions that you don't usually ask yourself. You don't get to ask yourself the few questions that we started with. For example, you don't ask yourself the biggest risk you took last year. You don't get to ask yourself maybe the biggest lessons you learned or the biggest decisions you made. But the year compass will actually, and it's not because you intentionally don't want to ask these questions, but you don't really have the tools to, see these things. You don't have the tools to make you, critically think about maybe the previous year and all. And let me just start off by saying it's in two parts. There's the part for the previous year, and then there's the part for this year. I first discovered the year compass in about 3-4 years ago, and it's been really interesting. It sets up the tone for my year, and then quarterly or monthly, I go back to check it and then see what was important to me, and how my idea of the new year has changed over time. I'm into diaries and journals and stuff. The first time I got into it was I watched the movie, and I discovered that when you write down your emotions and you write down your feelings about particular situations in your life, it forces you to think, to comprehensively write it. And there are many reasons to do it, as a stress relief, as to just keep memories, but also so that you can go back and see what was important to you at a particular time in your life. And it's been very helpful. And also Jim Rohn, the famous speaker, he said some of the most successful people in the world keep journals and things like that. So I think it's a good habit you can incorporate, not because you like pouring out everything on a piece of paper, but because there's some important and strategic occasions that will require you to actually write things down and think about it. And I think the best time to do that would probably be in the new year. So let's dive into it. So it starts by, okay, let's go through your calendar for last year, and it might take you 2 hours to really go through this, but as they say, the African proverb that you pull back your arrow before you let it fly, and these 2 hours can be that pull back time so that you can really fly to your target for 2022. So let's go through your calendar week by week. If there was any important event, any family gathering, friends, a significant project, write it down here. So you go through your year and you see the significant highlights from your year in 2021. The next part talks about what is popularly called the 6 F's. The most important spheres of our life: your faith, your finances, your family, your friends, your fun, that's your hobbies, and then your field where you work, your career and stuff like that, and then your fitness and health. So when you think about these quadrants, they are independent, but they are highly interconnected, and when one begins to falter, it's not far off before the others begin to fall. So what was your year about in terms of your family life, your personal life, your career, your studies, your family, your friends, and your community, your relaxation, your hobbies, your creativity? So it tackled narrowing down to these fields, these spheres of your life, and then you begin to really think, what did I really do in terms of my mental health last year? And when you begin to think like this, it already creates a canvas for you to get into the next year. So, and these were the questions I asked at the beginning of the video. What was the wisest decision I made in 2021? What was the biggest lesson I learned? What was the biggest risk I took? What was the biggest surprise for the year? What's the most important thing you did for others in 2021? And James Allen, the author of the famous book As a Man Thinketh, he said the purest, paraphrasing now, but the purest happiness is usually gotten by charity to others. And as the Indians say, nobody goes around spraying perfume without getting a splash on themselves. So things like that. What was the biggest thing you accomplished? I really like the Year Planner because it will make you ask questions that you will not normally ask of yourself. And not just that, it will give you an avenue to actually answer them freely. So what were you most proud of in 2021? Who were the 3 people who influenced you the most? Who are the 3 people you influenced the most last year? What were you not able to accomplish? What is the biggest thing you discovered about yourself last year? You see, these kind of questions, like when you begin to write it down, it will make you think about them and then have a concrete answer to these questions. And when you do, I'm telling you, it will make you see your growth over the period of that year. And what are you most grateful for? Everybody says gratitude is the attitude to raise your attitude. People say a lot of crazy things, but it's important to be grateful for things, and especially things that money can't buy. So what are you really grateful for? Lisa Nichols, great orator and speaker and personal coach and trainer, she says every day when she gets up, she counts 10 things that she's grateful for that can't be bought by money or with money. So just to put gratitude big time in your head. And then so the next part talks about your best and your most memorable moment from last year. So if there was any joyful moment from last year, draw them on this sheet. How did you feel? Who was there with you? And what were you doing? What was the kind of smell, the sound, the taste? What do you remember from your highest highlights from 2021? Write it down here. The reason why is because when you know your most pleasurable moments, the best of your times, you can then amplify them and replicate them to have a fun-filled life for 2022. But there's no need to gamble about your happiness. You can actually make an intention, to be happy. They say happiness is really not a prime product. It's usually a byproduct of doing things. So what you were doing at that time that give you that feeling, so you can replicate that, and things like that. So 3 of my biggest accomplishments from last year. So you write them down here. What did you do to achieve these? Who helped you achieve this success and how? 3 of your biggest challenges from last year. Who and what helped you overcome these challenges? What have you learned about yourself by overcoming these challenges? Deep questions that will really make you think about what was really important and how you got through things. Steve Jobs in his that famous Stanford speech, he said life usually does not make sense in prospect. It's usually in retrospect, because then you will now see in playback how one thing led to the other. And when you think about the obstacles that you have overcome, you will have faith and then to go forward, like onwards in life, knowing that if those things were overcome, given how you felt the obstacles were back in the time, you can now look forward and prospect more, knowing that even though there will be challenges, you can actually find a way to overcome them, because even the future will one day be the past. So, and you would make reference to it, and there will be obstacles definitely. So it will just make you think about what you've gone through before and then how you went through it. Then it gets deeper. Forgiveness. Did anything happen during the past year that still needs to be forgiven? Forgiveness, they say, the Indian gurus, they will tell you that it's a gift that you really don't give it to other people, you give it to yourself, because even if someone offends you, the hurt is actually in you, not in them. So the forgiveness is a gift you give to yourself, and it's easier said than done, honestly, because some people can be really malicious when they begin to inflict evil, but it's a gift you have to give to yourself. And as famous leadership expert John Maxwell says, he said you have to give up to go up, right? So you have to let some things go, and that is what the next page is all about again. What do you have to let go for that year? Like, what baggages, what burden do you have to let go to grow for the next year? It's really interesting. I really like the year compass, because when you think about these things, you really see the meaning, the value, what was the net gain from last year. You begin to see them clearly. So choose 3 words to define your past year. If there was a book or a movie about your past year, what title would you give it? And then saying goodbye to the last year, and then that is the end of the first part. Now you see what I'm talking about. It's really a productive tool. And then blank sheet for 2022, and then we begin to go into 2022. And then the first statement here is dare to dream big. There's this meme I saw, like, don't be, pushed around by your fears. Instead, be guided by your dreams. There was a time you had dreams, there was a time you had aspirations. So this is an opportunity to dare to dream again. It's a new year. TD Jakes is famous for saying it is not the movement of the clock that produces the newness of life, it is the movement in your mind. So what dreams do you have that will create a newness in your life? I've dreamt before and been hurt by hope, by the audacity to hope, as Barack Obama would say. But again, have that audacity again and dare to dream. Like, what the last thing I say when I want to dream is, what do I have to lose by dreaming? You just get free smiles at the least. But really, it will make you see the prospects. And as Albert Einstein would say, imagination is better than knowledge, because with imagination, there are things yet to be done. There are songs you are supposed to sing, there are books you're supposed to write, there are things you're supposed to learn. And dare to dream and then write them down. And then back again to the six quadrants of life: your faith, your family, your finances, your career, your hobbies. Make an active plan, an intentional plan of what you want to do to relax, to be creative, what your hobbies are going to be, and then set out time to actually get them this year. And then, my name is Dr. Peter. Once again, your fitness and your health. I'm telling you, you do me a very huge favor by staying healthy and not coming to the hospital. Like, they say the wisest physicians, they don't cure diseases, they prevent them. So this is me trying to prevent them so that you don't, come seeking for help. I really don't want to help you when you are sick. Like, I wish you were not sick in the first place. That's my point. Of course, I'm obligated to do that because of the oath, that pledge we made. But don't get sick, stay fit. Last year, one interesting thing I did was I participated in a marathon, a 7K marathon. I'm telling you, I've never felt more vivacious than those periods when I was practicing, because I trained for about 6 weeks for the marathon. And those periods were one of the healthiest periods of my life last year. There's more life, there's more, and you can't do good things if you don't feel well. Like, you can't do well if you're not feeling well. I'm telling you, health is really priceless, and you really don't want to come and meet me in the hospital. I'm telling you this. All right, so moving on. Your magical triplets for the year ahead. I will love these three things about myself. I'm ready to let go of these three things. I want to achieve these three things the most. Important things, so that you begin to, when we say, I want to achieve these three things the most, many people don't like setting goals, and the reason is not far-fetched. Professor Jordan Peterson, one of the most famous psychologists of today, he said, by setting goals, we also inadvertently define the criteria for failure. And that's reasonable, and that's very logical. So many people just want to stay in the gray zone, not determining what is white and what is black in their life. But you have to do that, so that you have to do that, because without an aim you can't score. 22 players running around in a football pitch, and all they're trying to do is to score a goal. And the same thing for your life, you need to score some goals. So what are they, and what do you really want? And then I will dare to discover these three things about myself. I will have the power to say no to these things. It's important to say no. There are a lot of distractions, and there is a famous quote that says, the hardest decision is not usually between bad and evil. That's a simple decision to make. But the hardest decision is between good and best, better and best. So those are the fine details that you are going to be choosing from. And then it's good to know that, to predetermine that you are going to choose, you are going to say no to them when the time comes. You make the decision before the time arrives. You win first in your mind before you get to that point. So more on magical triplets. I will make my surroundings cozy with these three things. So maybe music, maybe a neck pillow, something you make yourself cozy with, your space, your private space cozy with. I will do these three things every morning, certain habits and all. I will pamper myself with these three things regularly. So ice cream, a warm bath, visit to the beach, a visit to the zoo, a visit to the gym. Like, what will you pamper yourself with? I will visit these three places. So, define things. You want to go to the Fuji Mountain in Japan, or the Mambila Plateau in wherever it is, just write it down, because write it down like your bucket list. You have nothing to lose by writing them down. You want to go to Shanghai, or the Forbidden City in China, write it down. So I will reward my successes with these three things, creating a positive feedback loop to good habits. So maybe you cleaned your house, you cleaned your room. What will you reward yourself with? So maybe 2 hours chill time with your leg on the table, just listening to your favorite tunes. Write them down. All right, so sentences about my next year. This year I will not procrastinate anymore over, then you fill up the blank. This year I will draw energy most from, you write it down. What inspires you? What motivates you? Who are your lighters? Who are the people you surround yourself with that that make you remember who you really are? This year I will be bravest when it comes to, right, then you write it down. This year I will say yes when it comes to, Les Brown says that some people are so negative. He calls them negaholics because they say no 6 times before they say yes the first time, even if the opportunities are good, because they are so cynical and so suspicious, and so they think the universe is out there to get them. And I don't say this lightly because personal experiences vary a lot, but there are times to say yes, and you should predetermine when you're going to say yes. And the year compass gives you this, makes you critically think about these things. I'm really excited about it actually. And this year will be special for me because I've learned so much, because I've done this, because I now have this skill, because I'm going to get this skill, because I'm going to meet this person, because I have these people in my life, things like that. Define them, write them down clearly. And I think we're getting closer to the end now. So okay, what is your one word for the year ahead? If you're going to, title the year ahead, what is it going to be? Make it something interesting, all right? Make it something hopeful, all right? So now, this is the part I really like now. Your secret wish. Unleash your mind. What is your secret wish for the year? Now, imagine you have a blank check, like a blank check. What will you do? There's no restriction. I'm taking off all the inhibitions from your imagination. What is your secret wish for the year? Don't tell anybody, or write it down. Write it down. And then, okay, so we're at the end now. And then here you sign. And then there's an affirmation for belief. And then you put your signature and you put the date. And then a little bit about the international team that's created the year compass. I think it's a very beautiful tool that would actually set the tone for your year, and it's something really productive too. You can review it quarterly or monthly depending on your schedule, and then the timeline for your goals. Thank you again so that is the end of our discussion with the year compass. But so for my subscribers, please, if you've not subscribed to this channel, do subscribe to this channel. If you like the video, do share it with your friends so that we can all have a productive 2022. There's a lot of videos lined up for this year already. Academics, lifestyle, a lot of things, and I assure you of premium content this year. So thank you very much again, guys, and see you in the next video, and have a productive 2022. Cheers.